Okay, I'm Jonathan Rochelle. I'm Director of Product Management at Google. And I co-founded a company called 2Web Technologies. It was back in 2003. And 2Web Technologies actually made a product that converted spreadsheets to web apps. Took spreadsheets that you had locally and turned them into web apps. And that was important back then. But in about 2005, we joined Google to start a product that you now know as Google Sheets. And that started a long journey of me leading the product team to develop Google Docs, Google Sheets, Slides, Forms, AppScript, a couple of other things you know, or you don't know. I know some of you know AppScript. I see actually some t-shirts I haven't seen in quite a while even. So today we'll be talking about something else, which is workflows between apps, and something that's actually probably near and dear to your heart every day, which is copy and paste. So first, let's quickly go back. I want to go back in time and just talk about where some of the historic relevance came from for productivity apps. So you might not remember VisiCalc. VisiCalc was an incredible innovation, right? And this is an excerpt from an article or an ad that VisiCalc had where they called it a magic sheet of paper that can perform calculations and recalculations. That's how they described it. They don't even mention the word spreadsheets. It's not even there. But what was important there is that it was an app that took something that was really mundane. People back then were using calculators and paper. How many people have heard of paper? A few of you. Basically, you're taking calculations on a calculator, which in its own right was an advance at some point, taking that data over to paper. And so VisiCalc took away that mundane act, basically, of taking the data from a calculator and scribing it into paper and put it all in one place. And just that, taking the data and putting it in one place, it gave people a power and a feeling of productivity, the abilities that they can get done using the computer for what the computer was good at. And then, of course, like over decades, I don't know, 2 or 3 decades or more, new products like that came out, word processors, slideware, more spreadsheets, and they get incrementally, quote, better. More features, more things that fewer groups of people would use, more edge cases. But the basic value didn't change. Right? It was using the computer to make an individual's job easier, to make their life easier. But still, one fundamental need still existed, which was getting information from one place to another. And today, people spend their whole day in products like this. We came along and we did something that, of course, we're very proud of. We started focusing on teams, team productivity. And so real-time collaboration and real mobile experiences. For us, it really changed the world for us, even at Google. And it started changing the way people worked as teams and focusing on team collaboration. So things like charting, automatic charting in Google Sheets, it adds an incredible value of collaborator, which is the machine, to your team. And it allows you to identify anomalies in your data really quickly. Voice typing. Voice typing lets you get the data into the product really easily. You can speak and it really transcribes and it's incredibly accurate. I know students that use this all the time. But still, even with those advances, we love our products, but still this one thing exists: copy-paste. That's how people get data from one to another. Today, I probably used it 4 times already this morning, just on my phone, getting data from one to another. And that horrible moment, that facepalm moment where you realize you just copied over the other thing that you copied, and now you pasted and you lost the first thing you copied, so you have to go back. It's done constantly. Getting information from one to another relies on our customers remembering those awesome shortcuts, Control-C and Control-V. That's what separates the techies from the non-techies as far as they're concerned. So when we started working on this problem, even as a startup, but at Google as well, we wanted to solve something different, the team productivity problem. It was a much more important modern problem. It wasn't just individual productivity. It wasn't just more features, but teams working better together to achieve more. That's what was important to us. And we're trying to take teams beyond productivity, focusing on their goals and their impacts. So now where do you fit in? Developers, people that have other apps. We realize, of course, that people aren't just in Google Apps. They're in other products, and they need to get information from those products to our products, and from our products to yours. And that's super important to us. So whether you spend time in your CRM or your ERP or your project management tool, you're trying to get data in between those products, across those silos, So those silos of information are what now creates these gaps in efficiency and lets teams, instead of working really well and having magical experiences in our apps and in your apps, it breaks the model. So we're trying to fix that. We're trying to get rid of basically those unmagical moments of copy-paste. So we're here today to talk to you about new APIs. And the APIs are across some of our products, and we're going to try basically to kill copy-paste. That's our goal today. And if we can do that, I think we've achieved. So to talk about how this works, I'm going to invite Tom up to start. He's going to talk to you about some APIs that we have in Google Sheets.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. My name's Tom Holman, and I'm a product manager for Google Sheets. And over the next several minutes, my colleague Ajay and I are going to talk to you about how the Google Docs editors teams develop new APIs to help break down those silo walls that you heard about from Jonathan. I want to start off by talking you through just the 3 main design goals we had in mind when we were developing these APIs. So first, we were really focused on making it easy for you as developers to build on top of the Google Docs editors. What this meant to us is we wanted to make sure it was just a very simple single API request if you wanted to replace a range of data in Sheets or swap out a string in a slide. Second, the Google Docs editors, as JR told you, are built around the concept of collaboration and have been since day one. So it was important to us that any solution that we give to developers really respects collaboration. And so if you look at the design of these APIs, what you'll see is that they're structured around the concept of batch updates. So a user, when they look in the revision history for their document, they'll see single batched updates of the changes that a developer might have made. And if a user happens to be collaborating in the document, when as a developer you make a change, they'll see a smooth experience instead of a jarring change. And then finally, we recognize the importance of giving you as developers access to the most powerful features and functionality within our products. We realized to really break down those silo walls, we had to give you access to this power. So with those principles in mind, let's jump into Google Sheets. And I want to start talking about Sheets by actually reminding you that we've had a public API for Sheets for several years now, the GData API. And this is how developers, and I see some folks laughing in the crowd about GData, this is how third-party developers have integrated with Sheets over the years. But there's a problem with GData. And that problem is it really only lets you read and write cell data. And for anyone who's ever opened Google Sheets, you know there's a whole lot more to the product than just the values you're storing in cells. Which is why I'm excited to tell you that just yesterday, we launched a brand new Google Sheets API that gives you much more of the richness of the product. Things that developers like yourselves have been asking us for years. I'm talking about programmatic access to filters and conditional formatting, pivot tables, and charts. So the question really becomes, if we've given you programmatic access, if we've given you a cloud-based document format and programmatic access to the most powerful features within our products, what are the things that you as developers can really do now? So what I want to do over the next couple minutes is, with the help of 2 partners who have given us early feedback in the design and development of this API, is show you just 2 types of use cases. So the first use case I want to talk with you about is reporting. We've heard from developers that building reporting is really painful, and it's painful for a couple reasons. The first is it's painful to build. It takes a lot of work, and once you've even developed reporting, users actually want to customize it anyway. So they end up downloading the CSV from your report, uploading it into a spreadsheet, and building their own analysis on top of it. We've realized by giving you a cloud-based spreadsheet and associated API, you can actually do this and automate the process for users. So you can generate a spreadsheet, push in your live data, build analysis and charts and so on top of it for a user. The user can open the document and customize it. And then you can actually refresh the underlying data in the user's customized analysis. To show you what this looks like, I'd like to invite Owen McQuaid, Strategic Partner Manager from SAP Anywhere, to the stage to show you an integration.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks. It's first of all, I'd like to say it's absolutely wonderful to be here because not only are we a launch partner for the new Google Sheets API, but it's actually also the launch week for SAP Anywhere in the US. So you'll be amongst the first to see both of them. Let me tell you a little about SAP Anywhere. It's targeted at small to medium-sized businesses, and it's aimed at addressing the key pain points of social marketing and digital commerce. It's an end-to-end, fully integrated digital solution, and we, with the open APIs that we have at the moment, have integrated with a number of other partners who offer social marketing and marketplaces, and of course now Google for the reporting side. It's mobile first. So in other words, an SME can run their entire business from a mobile device. It's also web and cloud and app based. And so it's incredibly easy and intuitive to use. We aim to deploy it in under 40 hours. Reporting is a major concern and a key driver in any business. And it's key from our point of view anyway, because of the various markets that we operate across, from China to now the US, that users have flexible reporting that they're able to change and that we can offer them detailed and in-depth analysis. So with the Google Sheets API, that offers us the ability to offer that flexibility to be able to provide that in-depth analysis, but on a continuing basis to keep that information up to date. Let's take a look at the software. So that's the home screen that a user would see with various shortcuts pinned onto the home screen in SAP Anywhere. So if we run the sales analysis report, that's the standard sales analysis report that would be output by the reporting engine. It's not as flexible in terms of providing analysis. And of course, users may be tempted to get it into a spreadsheet using cut and paste, the dreaded dark copy paste. So we've built in a function here to actually export that using the new Google Sheets API into Sheets. So we pop in a name here. It's as simple as that. Pop in a name, sales analysis report. We can check there the automatically synchronize option. So that allows us to pass new updates and any changes to the information across into Sheets without the user having to move it manually. So it just takes a second to move that through. But what's exciting about it is it doesn't only generate a data extract. It's actually a complex report. In fact, it's got virtually everything available to a Sheets user is available through the API. So we're able to produce charts. Those are based on a pivot table that we've also generated through our reporting engine and through the API. And that's based on another sheet there. You've got the raw data itself. So Tom, if you make a change to that, I want to show you how, using the new Explore feature in Sheets, how if we add and make a change to it, those changes aren't overwritten when the chart's updated. Okay, so if we move back into SAP Anywhere, in the interest of time, we've got a relatively short time. We're going to trigger the change. You can normally have change it this month. You can set it to update on a weekly, and for some of our users it's more appropriate, and for some reports to have them monthly updated and to make them available through Drive and to share them collaboratively. So if we output that, we'll flick back, and I want to show you how it changes and how quickly that's passed through into Sheets. Yeah, if we move back to the slide, Tom, we're really excited about this integration and the flexibility that it offers our customers. We're looking forward to making it available in the next few months. Great, thanks.
Thank you, Alan. So that was reporting. So we've also heard from developers that users often struggle when it comes to updating data in bulk in your applications. But this happens to actually be the type of use case that a product like Google Sheets is really well suited to. So to show off how this works, I'd like to invite Tom McCleary from Salesforce to the stage.
Thanks, Tom. I, too, am very excited to be here. We've been a longtime partner with Google, and we've done a lot of different things, particularly with Google for Work. And this integration is one of the coolest things we've worked on in a long time. As you guys are well aware, Salesforce, we do a lot around sales automation, customer service. And our particular use case is really kind of taking a look at how, when I'm dealing with large volumes of transactions, do I make it easy in one place to be able to update, modify, without having to go into each record. And the value of this really comes kind of on a weekly basis whenever you're rolling up your opportunities into a forecast report. And so a sales manager, a sales rep with a lot of transactions, this becomes kind of a pain point. So the partnership with Google, with the new Google Sheets API, gives us incredible power to make it very easy for our customers and users to interact between the two worlds seamlessly. So with that, let's jump into the demo. So on my right, your left, hopefully I got this right, you'll be seeing a Salesforce opportunity list. On my left, your right, you'll be seeing a spreadsheet that represents that. And so we're going to go in and show you exactly how easy it is. So Tom, if you can look at Edge SLA and change to close one and maybe change the probability, what you'll see instantaneously over on your left is an update that shows it's closed one and 100%. And just because we want to prove this isn't a cheap party trick, we're going to do it another time. And Tom's going to update another record and shift the amount. Guy was sandbagging, he upped it. And yeah, exactly. Closed one and 100%. Now, the power of this comes in many levels. And so the real, this is the beauty of good code. It all seems easy and seamless, but it's incredibly fine-grained. And so when you're in Salesforce, you don't want to corrupt your data, you don't want silly things happening. So you have complete control. And so Tom will try to overwrite the ID here, and he can't. And all of this stuff that you're seeing here, we like to call them kind of click APIs, because all of this conditional formatting based upon the fact that if it's below 50%, it's red, if it's above 90%, it's green. All of that just happens automatically from the integration. So the power of the API and the power of the two solutions together really drive huge value and ease of use. And I think the whole thing of what good developers try to do is make it easy for our users. This is really the easy button for our users. With that, I'll give it back to Tom.
Thank you, Tom. So this new API just launched with all documentation and the API available through developers.google.com/sheets. For the folks who want to get their hands dirty, we also have a code lab available at the kiosks around I/O and online. We're excited to see what you build with this new API. And with that, I'd like to hand off to my colleague Ajay to talk with you about slides.
All right. Morning. My name is Ajay Suri, and I'm a product manager for Google Slides. One of the top requests that we've heard from many of you developers is the ability to create and update presentations programmatically. That's why I'm excited to announce that we've been working on exactly this problem, a brand new API for Google Slides. As Tom outlined earlier, this API will also be easy to use, it'll work seamlessly with Doc's real-time collaboration, and it'll give you programmatic access to all the powerful features of Slides. So just like we did with Sheets, we're going to jump into two integrations that our partners have built to give you a flavor of what you'll be able to do. The first example is around creating presentable reports. We've heard from many of our users that when they work with data in another application, they often want to share this with their team or with their boss. But they don't just want to share the raw data. They want it to look good. And, well, this involves, you guessed it, a lot of copying and pasting and formatting. So we're going to make that go away. In this example, you'll see how you can use the API to export data from another application into slides to create a polished report. And to show you this, I'd like to invite Hamid from Trello up to the stage.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hamid from Trello, and I'm here today to talk to you about an awesome upcoming integration between Trello and Google Slides. So for those of you who don't know, Trello is an awesome visual collaboration tool that creates a shared perspective on any project. But for presenting information, however, there are better tools like Google Slides. So let's talk to Trello first, and then we'll show you a demo of the integration. So here, a real estate agency is using Trello to manage their listings. Each property is a card, and then they have lists for sales, for rentals, as well as properties that are under contract and transactions that have closed. They love how Trello gives them an instant perspective into how their agency is doing at any given time. When they're out and about and showing these properties to clients, they love using Trello on their phones to update the listings and let everybody know when they've closed a deal. They also have a weekly status meeting every Friday where they go through each property and they kind of give a quick status update. So for this meeting, they want to present this Trello board in a friendlier format. So that is where Google Slides comes in. Can we please show both? Awesome. So every Friday morning, the branch manager creates one of these. So this means that she has to create a slide for each individual card. So can we open a card, please? So this means that she has to make a new slide, and then copy the title of the card into the title of the slide, and copy the description of the card into the body of the slide. And then she has to download an image and get that up in there as well, and align it all nicely, and then has to do about 50 more times. So it's kind of the type of thing that ruins a Friday morning. They just kind of spend copy-pasting back and forth, and then you present the report and there's an error because the property is wrong because you copy-pasted the wrong thing. So it's not very fun at all. So as you probably suspect, go for it. We have built a better way to do this. So I'm going to ask Jay to close out of the card and click that Create Presentation button. So this magic is happening. As you can see, the data from the Trello board is being automatically exported in real time into Google Slides. Everything is automatically updated. You can see it looks beautiful and ready to present. So that saved a lot of copy pasting around. And since Trello is such a horizontal tool with so many use cases, this is only one of the examples where this new integration is going to save our users a lot of time. It's very powerful, very easy to use, and it's actually very, very simple to build for us, which is awesome always. Our vision with Trello is to create a flexible horizontal collaboration tool that can help people organize anything. With this new integration, we're very excited to give our users yet another way to present information in a visual, meaningful, and easy way with a tool they already love to use. Thank you.
Thanks, Hamid. And thanks to you and your team for all the feedback you've given us as we've worked together on this. So the next example is about custom workflows. Slides is a great tool for telling compelling visual stories, but putting together polished visuals is pretty time-consuming. Even if you've got reference visuals or slide templates to work with, it's still something you have to do over and over again. For example, if you're a salesperson and you've got to create a custom deck for each of your 30 clients, you're going to literally be doing this all day. So in this next example, we're going to talk to you about how you can merge data into a slide template to create custom presentations with a consistent look and feel. So it'll save users a ton of time. And I'm going to call up Steve Holm from ProsperWorks, who's going to talk us through the next demo.
Thanks, Ajay. Hey guys, I'm Steve. I'm Director of Design at ProsperWorks, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you a little bit about how ProsperWorks integrates with Google Apps. So ProsperWorks is a CRM designed to help companies sell more faster. And we do this by making our products simple and easy to use and by integrating with the products you already use at work today, like Google Apps. In fact, we're happy to announce we've recently become part of the recommended Google Apps for Work program. which is super exciting. So two specific goals we have in all of our integrations with Google Apps are, one, to eliminate as much manual data entry as possible from the sales process, and two, cut down on the switching back and forth between applications. So today, sales teams use ProsperWorks to track the progress of their leads and their opportunities. And a lot of times during the sales process, reps like to create custom presentations for their potential buyers. And the problem is these presentations, as you can imagine, they take a ton of time. To create a custom presentation for each one of these potential buyers can be super tedious, time-consuming, and is prone to a lot of errors. So with that in mind, we created an integration that allows moving customer information from ProsperWorks into a custom Google slide presentation as easy as clicking a button. So let me show you how this works. I'll have Ajay help me walk you through this demo. So if you look over here in this example, I'm an account executive inside ProsperWorks managing a list of potential buyers of an in-home solar panel installation. And you can see here I'm tracking information about each customer, like what their monthly bill value is, what their bill will be after they install solar, system size, and a whole bunch of other information. And so what I want to do is click on one of these potential customers and create a custom presentation for them. So let's go ahead and click on the Burton residence. And you'll see up here in the top, I have an option to turn this into a new Google slide presentation. So let's click that. And here in step one, I can create this new presentation. So first I can click here to browse in Google Drive. Oh.
That's a live demo.
It's a live demo. Give us just 1 second. This always happens, right? Anyone know any good jokes?
So let's
See how
try
much
that again.
time this is saving? All right, let's give it another shot. So let's click on the Burton residence. And we'll go up here to create the new presentation. Step one, what I want to do is now I want to click on this and browse Google Drive for an existing template that I've already created for all of my solar panel installations. So I can click that. I can go back here, give this presentation a custom name, and choose where I want to save it in Google Drive. And then I click Create and Continue. And if you watch over here, what's going to happen is a new presentation for the Burton residence is going to be created here in Google Drive. So there it is. So let's go ahead and open up that presentation. So here you can see I have a solar panel installation presentation, and it has placeholders for the client name, monthly utility bill. Now, typically, this would be the end of the demo because the Burton's information would already be merged into this slide. But for the purpose of this demo, we wanted to show you this happen live. So what we want to do is jump back over into here. And before Ajay clicks the merge and finish button, I want everyone to still watch over here because this is where the magic happens and all that information is brought over here. So go ahead and click that button. And you can see, boom, real time. How cool is that, huh? So all of that information from the Burton residence in one click copied over here. So now you can see I've got their actual monthly bill, their actual price of electricity, system size, all that info in this custom presentation. So now I can go ahead and add anything I want and share it off with the Burton residence. So if you can imagine, I'm an account executive doing this 15 to 20 times a day. I mean, this is going to take me hours of, you guessed it, copying and pasting back and forth between ProsperWorks and Google Slides. Yesterday I heard some data that it takes about 15 minutes on average for a sales rep to create a custom presentation. So 15 times what I have 32 opportunities in here. That's what, I don't know what the math is. I'm a designer. I just change button colors and font sizes and stuff. But I don't know, 30 plus hours. So 30 plus hours. So instead with this integration, I can do this in minutes, maybe even seconds, giving me back those hours to do what I do best, grow my business. So we're super excited about this integration between ProsperWorks and Google Slides, and we can't wait to make it live for our customers. Thanks, Ajay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Steve. How cool was that? If we'd had something like that to help us make this I/O deck, we could have saved a ton of time. So the ProsperWorks and Trello teams will be available after our session to answer any of your questions, but early access to the API is open now. You can sign up at developers.google.com/slides, and we're looking forward to your feedback as we work to build this. We're grateful to all our partners who've given us a ton of feedback as we've worked to design and build these APIs. The previous 4 examples were all about taking the tools you guys build for what people use at work and integrate them with the Google Docs platform. But many of our users are students and teachers, and we know that many of yours are too. So to talk to you about Google Classroom and some of the APIs they're working on, I'm going to call Ope to the stage.
So I'm going to have Ajay stick around and help me out a little bit. Morning, everybody. My name is Ope Bukola, and I'm a product manager for Google Classroom. So I'm here to talk to you today about what Classroom does and how you can build applications that work really well in schools. As Ajay mentioned, many of the users for Docs editors are students and teachers. And when we observed them using the editors in class, we saw a huge opportunity to make them more productive. Here's an example of something that we saw. So this illustration is something we actually saw in an elementary school class. It's a teacher trying to explain to her students how to turn in an assignment using Google Drive. So as if it's not bad enough to try to get 30-second graders to write an essay, imagine taking them through this process to turn that essay in. So we knew that to make schools more productive, we needed to eliminate this type of busy work, and that's why we built Classroom. Classroom does 3 things really well. The first thing it does is it improves communication in a class. So teachers can make announcements, ask questions, comment, and collaborate with their students all in real time. And then Classroom weaves together Docs, Drive, and Gmail so that teachers can create and collect assignments paperlessly and seamlessly. So those 6 steps I showed you earlier became one very magical turn-in button. And finally, Classroom helps classes stay organized. So we create a Drive folder for every student and for every assignment. As students click Turn In, their work automatically gets stored in the right place. We integrate with Calendar so that all the work that's due is really evident to students and to their families. Teachers absolutely love using Classroom. They love the simplicity of it, and the process of using Google Docs became much easier. But we soon realized that this wasn't enough. Teachers aren't just using Google tools in class, they're using a lot of the stuff that you've built. And the biggest problem they encounter is that these tools don't talk to each other, so it's still way too much busy work. And last year, we introduced 2 ways for developers to integrate with Classroom. The first was a Google Classroom Share button. So what the Share button does is it's a really simple way for you to let teachers and students take links, videos, any content on your site, and share it to Classroom without ever leaving your product. And the best thing about the Share button from a developer perspective is that it's super, super simple to use. Just a few lines of JavaScript. In fact, I bet you could probably finish integrating it by the end of the session if you just stopped paying attention to everything else we're going to say. But don't do that. So the second thing that we did is we launched what we call the Roster API. The Roster API lets other applications reuse the Classroom rosters. So when a teacher comes to your site, rather than having him recreate his class, invite all the students, he can just import and use the classes he already has in Classroom. And since we launched the Share button and the Roster API, hundreds of applications have integrated with Classroom. But rosters are just one part of the story. A lot of the magic of Classroom comes with the assignments, the announcements, the work that's actually happening in class. And today, getting that assignment and grade information from Classroom to other tools is still way too time-consuming. And getting grades from Classroom to other systems is especially painful for teachers. Teachers tell us they spend a lot of time doing this. And it often looks just like this, right? Copying and pasting. So imagine you've graded 100 essays, and then you're rewarded by having to do this to get the grades from Classroom to the reporting system where they need to end up. So we wanted to eliminate this, and that's why yesterday we launched improvements to the Classroom API. These improvements let developers create and modify assignment data, which we call coursework. And with the new coursework endpoints, you can sync assignments and grades with Classroom. And this really removes the busy work of manually transferring the data for teachers. So here are just a couple of the things that you can do with coursework in Classroom. And to show you what I mean, I'm going to show a quick demo from one of our partners, Tinker. Unfortunately, Tinker couldn't join us live, but they've been hard at work building and using these new endpoints, and I'm really excited to show you what they've built. So Jay's going to help me out. So what we've got on the screen here is Google Classroom, and over here we'll have a student's view of Classroom, and on the right we'll have a teacher's view of Classroom. So Jay, go ahead and go over to Tinker. So Tinker is a tool that teachers use to teach their students programming. It's used by over 5,000 schools around the world. It's a really, really simple process. Typically, though, when a teacher starts using Tinker, the first thing she would do is create her class and get her students loaded. This might involve copying and pasting from another document, or maybe if she's lucky, she could upload a CSV. The integration takes away that process. So Jay's just going to go ahead and select the Computing 101 class and link the Google Classroom class to Tinker. So what this does is it automatically creates the class in Tinker and imports the students. Do we have students in Classroom?
No students yet.
OK, so if you let's try syncing. So if you click that Sync with Google Classroom button on the right there, hopefully we'll get all of our students. There we go. Now all of our students are loaded. So now we've got students from Classroom linked to Tinker. We're going to go ahead and assign some lessons. So if you click over to the lesson, Jay, and you can just go ahead and assign a few of those lessons. So while he assigns the lessons, this is the part where the real busy work comes in, right? So the teacher's gone to Tinker, she's created this awesome lessons, but now she has to get that data in Classroom, and she would typically copy and paste the assignments over in Classroom. But with the new coursework endpoints, she no longer has to do that. The assignment data is automatically sent to Classroom. So if on the student's view, Jay just click Show, great. So you'll see that all of her Tinker assignments have been brought to Classroom automatically. And then we're going to have the student complete one of the assignments. Let's go ahead and do the animated card creator. So the student's going to come to Tinker and start this lesson. This is a really cool lesson, but for the sake of time, we'll just click through. So Jay's going to finish up the assignment, and then we'll encounter another point where users typically had to do a lot of manual work, and that's getting the students' results back into Classroom. And this new API also eliminates that process. So Jay's back in Classroom as the teacher on that side. So you can just go ahead and refresh. So as you saw, the student just finished working on animated card creator. So on this side, we're going to have the student turn in the assignment, and I just want you to observe what the teacher sees in Classroom. So go ahead and turn in the assignment, Ajay. So the assignment is turned in Tinker, and you can see that that data has been automatically sent to Classroom. We now see that one student is done. At this point, if the student also had any grades or other feedback, Tinker would automatically push that to Classroom as well. So thanks for helping with the demo. Thank you. Great. So coursework is available in the Classroom API now. We're really grateful to Tinker and a lot of other partners who helped test this out and gave us really great feedback along the way. And if you're interested in integrating with Classroom, we'd love to talk to you. Come find us later, and we'll show you how it works. We're really excited to work with the developer community to continue building tools that work really well for teachers and students. So to recap what we've talked about this morning, Sheets has just launched a new API that makes it really easy for you to build workflows that start in your product and then tap into the power of Sheets. And Slides will soon launch a new API that will give you the power to programmatically create and update presentations. And finally, the Classroom team is letting you sync assignments and grades so that your apps can work well in schools. And across all three of our products, we're really focused on breaking down those walls that JR mentioned, breaking down the silos so that the applications you're building and Google Apps work really well and our users become more powerful. And so together, we really think it's possible to end copy and paste. Thank you. So thank you all for joining us this morning, bright and early. We're going to hang out after the presentation just outside if you want to talk to us. We'll also be available later in office hours from 1 to 2 p.m. So thanks for coming.